The Chicago Sky battle it out in a close game against the Washington Mystics that they still end up losing by one. Angel Reese has 22 points and 15 rebounds in this game after being frustrated by refs and the officiating. We're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
Welcome to Chicago Sky Central, and here's your host, Hayes.
What's going on, Sky fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Sky Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Sky related. I'm the host there, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chicago Sky Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. And unfortunately, I was not able to do a live post-game show because the WNBA had this game start at 11:30 a.m. Central Time, 10:30 a.m. Chicago time, and it was in the middle of the workday. I couldn't get to a live post-game show, so I do apologize for that, but that doesn't stop the content. This is a game in which the Sky really battled it out in this game, and the Sky have now strung together a nice handful of games where they've been really competitive in these games, and it does feel like they're right there at the surface getting ready to bubble over and start playing more consistently. Unfortunately, the Sky are almost halfway through the season, and it's really tough and difficult to kind of pull your way out of it in the WNBA because you don't have that long runway like you do in the NBA, right? Like you're talking about the Sky are 18 games into the season. You know, that's barely a fourth of the season in the NBA, right? So it's unfortunate, not unfortunate. I mean, that's a sport that you're playing, and that's why it's important to really get out to a consistent start. But the Sky in this game, it's a close game. When you look at the quarter by quarter, they lost the first quarter by 3 points, lost the second quarter by 2 points. They won the third quarter by 3 points, and then they tied it in the fourth quarter, 25-25. And it's just an unfortunate way that this game just came down to the stretch. It was tied in the last seconds of the game. Shakira also makes 2 free throws with 2.8 seconds left to get them and win them this game. And this just goes to another thing in the execution, right? Overall, that the Sky really have to learn from. And it's still, and I swear to God, I'm not trying to pick on any player here, but Ariel Atkins, we traded for her to be our scorer, and she was 3 of 9 in this game for only 11 points. Now, she was 5 of 6 from the free throw line for 11 points, 3 steals, 5 rebounds, 2 blocks in this game, so she contributed in the game. But that goes back to kind of the thing that I've been talking about over the last couple of episodes. When you are the Chicago Sky, you need a go-to scorer. And no, that's not Angel yet, right? That's not the type of way that Angel scores, even with her having 22 points and 15 rebounds. We'll get on her a little bit more here in a second. But and again, I'm not making this to make this about Ariel Atkins. It's just that with her being your scorer, you need to have a certain type of play to make sure that she can get in rhythm. And she just hasn't been that. Like Ariel Atkins' season averages are close enough to what she's done over the course of her career. So it's not like she's being anything differently than what she's been. When you look at the career for Ariel Atkins, she's doing what she usually does, and so for that I can't really blame her. She's coming in and being exactly who you expected her to be. She averages 13.5 points per game for her career. She's averaging 14.4 for the Sky. She's a career 42% field goal shooter. She's shooting the ball 41% from the field. She's a career 36% 3-point shooter. She's hitting in that 37% clip. Ariel Atkins is doing her, and that's why it does come down to the construction of the team and really not only how Tyler Marsh is using them, but also what Jeff Pagliosha had envisioned when he really built this team, right? And that just comes down to it. That's part of the problem. But, to get more on the positive, Angel Reese, 22 points, 15 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, only 3 turnovers. She was 5 of 9 from the field. She got a career-high 15 free throw attempts after calling out the refs and saying that it was diabolical and how she's being guarded and the fact that she has one of the toughest whistles in the WNBA for actually to get foul calls. They responded to that, and to me, that says that the officials know there was something to what Angel Reese said in that. But that just is what it is. Amazing game from Elizabeth Williams with 20 points in this game, 7 rebounds, 1 assist in this game. She did have 6 fouls, unfortunately, but that's just the way that it comes. She also had a block in this game. You got 13 points from Rachel Banham, who she's strung together a nice handful of games, or a nice couple of games in a row herself, really starting to kind of play like the Sky need her to play, which is really good to see that from Rachel Banham. She's now 4 straight games scoring in double figures, and 4 straight games of hitting at least 40% from the field. So the 40% is really good. Three out of those 4 games, she shot the ball over 50% from the field. So Rachel Banham slowly been playing a lot better too, as well. And the Sky are going to need that from her for her to keep that shooting up, especially once Kamila Cardoso comes back. So it's good to see Rachel Banham have that. But outside of that, it was really nothing. Michaela Onyewerede in the starting lineup again. 15 minutes played, only 2 points from her. You got a total of 11 points off the bench. 8 from Kia Nurse, 3 from Maddie Westbeld, who played double-digit minutes. Shout out to Maddie for actually getting in the game, and Tyler Marsh, giving the rookie some burn there, and she was playing pretty good, had some good defensive rotations, rebounded the ball really well with 6 rebounds. I keep saying this. The Sky aren't winning a ton of games. It's different when you don't play your rookies, when you're a winning team, and you have to you're playing at a really high level. But for where the Sky are at, there's no reason why Maddie Westbeld should not be getting in games at this point, especially while Kamila Cardoso was out. You also got Haley Van Lith, only 3 minutes in this game, but I can understand that. We're kind of more deep at that guard rotation. The Sky just don't have a lot of forwards in big depth. So Maddie Westbeld should be in these games. I'm glad Maddie Westbeld played pretty well in this game. Only took 2 shots, but she hit one of them. Those 6 rebounds, 1 steal as well that she had. I think that Maddie's ready for a little bit more minutes also. But, shout out to Shakira Austin, 15 points. The Mystic don't have a single player scoring 20 points, and they have 5 players that scored in double figures, but they did it as a team. And this was a low-scoring game. The Mystics are 9 and 10 on the season so far. The Sky are 5 and 13. So the Mystics are a better team than the Chicago Sky, and it's just another disappointing loss from the Sky. And it's just they're starting to really stack up for this team. And it's really frustrating. And especially when you get Angel Reese, like 22 points, 15 rebounds, and it just isn't enough. And that's not to put it on Angel. Like, this team is just missing something. And it was good to hear that Angel Reese and Tyler Marsh, for that matter, things that they said. Tyler Marsh yelling at his players to say this is not who the fuck we are. I'm glad that Tyler Marsh is showing a little bit of personality, because sometimes he was sitting over there looking like Franklin the Turtle without a shell, not saying anything, right? And you got Angel Reese in the post-game show saying, we did not box out tonight. We continue to think that we can out-jump people, including myself. Yeah, I got 15 rebounds, but I still have I have to still body. And that's just the execution thing that the Sky are missing from. But hearing more and more from Tyler Marsh, he said this. Usually when late calls happens is because the ref is unsure. And if you're unsure, you should probably let it go. I can't let it come down to one possession. The refs will look back and know that that wasn't the right call, but we have to just box out and not give them the opportunity. There's going to be some talk about that last call, that final call that ended up sealing the game for the Washington Mystics. But, this is where you got to execute a full 4 quarters. And that's where the Sky really do lack at, is playing a full 4 quarters. And that is the importance of playing a full 4 quarters of basketball. You got to lock in. You got to execute as a team. You have to box out. You can't let those little mistakes get to you. And the Sky have done that a lot over this recent stretch, and just these little games, and just let little things and little execution things really hold them back. And the Sky are going to have to figure that out, right? Angel Reese was so frustrated that she took it out on the clipboard after this loss. And, it was a frustrating loss. And, I'm glad that the Sky are competing. And that's one thing that I have to get the Chicago Sky, is that they are playing and executing better. There are still definite things that in watching the game of basketball, you look at and you say, you can tighten this up for sure. But it's unfortunate, man. The Sky it continues to be, it's just always something. I guess is the best way it's just always something with this Sky team. And as I said in the last post-game show, it does not feel like Jeff Pagliocci is at a point where he's really looking at this team and is going to do anything at the trade deadline to try to make this team better. And maybe he shouldn't, right? I'm a fan first. I'm not a basketball executive, and maybe rather than give up assets or anything, especially when most of the league is going to be free agents at the end of this year, waiting for that new CBA to kick in, and maybe this isn't the time to get super overly aggressive and try to go all in when you have an opportunity to really kind of remake your roster again around certain pieces that you want to keep. But it's just there's tons of questions right now, and you can tell that this Sky team is missing something, and that's from a personnel standpoint. They're missing something from a coaching standpoint too, but it's the personnel standpoint that we're just continually missing on things, and yeah, and the balance just isn't there with this roster. And maybe they can find it next year. A year of growth for Maddie Westbeld. Vitka actually coming over next year as well, who I think that she's going to be a dog. She really could be that 3 that you need next to Kamila Cardoso and Angel Reese that really can kind of open this thing up. She can pass, she can score, she can put the ball on the floor. And I don't want to put too much on her, for a player that's a year out from coming and actually playing for us, but you got to look at those things as well, and maybe that's what it is. And I try to keep a level head about it all, right? And really look at this and say, well, what is it can we do internally? And I think that, the Sky are just going to have to be that team, that scrappy team that fights hard. We're going to have to outwork every team that we play against for the remainder of the way. We're going to have to. Every game, we are at such a deficit with certain things, we cannot afford to take a game off. We can't afford to take a minute off. And so this team is going to have to, if they want to try to turn this season around, which admittedly is going to be extremely difficult. I'm not trying to sell y'all on a bag of goods that's just a bill of goods that's just not going to come into fruition. But if the Sky do, the second worst team in the league, but when you look at it, they're like, you can get all the way up to teams that there's only 4 games separated us between the team and the top 6. So, it's a much smaller runway, like I said, in the WNBA, but this team is going to have to take that identity of a team that it has to outwork everyone. You have to put in the work to outwork it every single night. You are going to have to leave everything out on the floor. And you can't, the margin of error for the Sky is very, very little. And that's what it comes back to as well. It's just very little. And so if the Sky are going to want to try to turn this thing around, it's going to be difficult. And again, for people who was like, the season's all over, I can't even blame you on that if that's how you feel. Like, the Sky are, like, last year, one of the things that left the Sky and being able to compete in games was the defense. The defense is starting to look better. Want to be clear there. The defense is definitely starting to look better, and I got to give credit for that. Thank God that it's starting to look better. But it's not still at the level that it was last year. And if that's how it's going to operate and look, it's going to be difficult for the Sky. When you look at the Sky, they're giving up the second most points in the league. We're giving up 87 points per game. Connecticut Sun is the only team giving up more, and they're giving up 88. So you have to be better than that. And the offense, we're not going to be an offensive juggernaut. It's just not there for the Chicago Sky. We're averaging the second least amount of points in the league at 78. So we're giving up almost 10 more points per game that we score. You have to work your ass off to overcome a deficit like that. And I mean every single possession. The Sky cannot let up on any possession. And we'll see what's going to happen here. We shall see what's going to happen. And maybe the Sky can start turning this thing around. I have my thoughts. I have my feelings on it. And we'll just see how it shakes out. With that said, though, let's get off the game. The game sucked. It sucks that the Sky lose another close game like that. But Angel's been talking. Not only has Angel been talking, but we got some stuff on Chennedy Carter, who made a post as well that people are talking about. But Angel Reese said this in regards to being a unicorn. Says, yeah, I do enjoy it. It's like the unicorn that Salabali is. Satu is, I don't know why I'm murdering her name, of the world, the Jokic, the Giannis's of the world, and just being able to be that and be the new norm. Just to continue to work and grind and do whatever it takes. If Angel Reese wants to be a unicorn in the WNBA, she's going to have to continue growing her game, which she's doing, taking players off the dribble, passing a little bit more. The offense has really started looking better since Tyler Marsh has allowed her to play more point forward. And that's something that Angel's going to have to double down on and live within if she really wants to be that unicorn and earn that label. We know that Angel Reese is a special player. And I love that how over the last 6 straight games, I think, with at least 15 rebounds, something like that, or at least 12, that people are realizing now that with Angel playing better, that all those haters have been quiet. I said that on the last one. The Angel haters have quieted down quite a bit since Angel started balling again. And I love that she's used the slow start of the season where, admittedly, she was playing bad. She was one of the first people to admit it. She was playing bad. The team was playing bad. And it is what it is. But now Angel Reese is starting to get back to the Angel that we've seen and the Angel that we know. And you get Kamila Cardoso, who had her best season, her best game after she went down, or not went down, but she went overseas. She's coming back now too. And so the Sky are going to have an opportunity to use their 2 unicorns that they have to really grow and to develop this thing and see what they can turn into. And I, for one, hope that it continues to work out for the Chicago Sky. Angel has to lock in. But I think Angel, more than anybody, she understands and knows that she has to lock in. And now let's see what happens with it. Let's see if Angel can get to the place of being that player that the Chicago Sky drafted her to be and that we all know that she can be. And if she does, great. If not, it's going to be a little bit rough. Admittedly, you're going to see a rough season from the Sky and for Angel if the inconsistencies come back up. But she's being a lot more consistent, and I think Angel is motivated. And not enough is made by me, other Sky podcasters, the media, not enough is made about it that Angel Reese deals with shit the best way that she can. And usually, like, she's going to have her moments where she has her outbursts on social media, or she has her outburst in a post-game presser. Guess what? She's a human and she's a competitor. She's allowed to do that. Some of y'all act like just because it's a woman that they can't do that, just like the NBA players does, but she has that right. But she generally internalizes that and wants to play better basketball. And that's why I love Angel Reese. And that's what she's going to continue to do. And I think that that's what makes Angel a special player potentially in this, well, not potentially, a special player in this league. She's just going to have to keep coming out in it, and we'll see what's going to happen, man, overall. But I love to see what Angel's done. I love to see how Angel continues to play ball, and she just continues to ball out, man. But with that said, Chennedy Carter, right? Chennedy Carter on the anniversary of a game that Chennedy Carter had where she scored 33 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists against the Seattle Storm in June 5th of 2024. She posted her and Angel Reese's stat line of 27 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 assists. And it really reminded people again what the duo that the Sky could have right now. I don't know what's going on and why the WNBA decided to blackball Chennedy Carter. It is a blackballing at this point in time. I don't care who that pisses off. It is blackballing, but I love that Chennedy, regardless of her on-the-court issues, she continues to use little snide ways to dig at the WNBA and remind everybody, you have one of your best guards, a player that can absolutely be a bucket, one of the best players potentially in the WNBA that's blackballed from this league because y'all don't like her attitude. And it is what it is when it comes down to that. And I'm not saying this to say I highly doubt that Chennedy Carter is going to come back. I want to be clear there. I don't think that she's going to come back to the W. I don't think that is happening anytime soon. I want to be clear on that. I'm not trying to sell that dream because I don't think she's coming back to the W when that season ends. I don't think there's any chance that the Sky sign her. But they should, and she should definitely be in this league. But unfortunately, due to politics, she's not. And that's just what you have to deal with in the WNBA. It's crazy how the WNBA is really starting to monitor other sports with the bad politics that happen. But that's what happens as sports grows. That's what happens as more teams come. That's what happens as you push more personality in the league and there are more eyes on it. You get this type of thing that happens. And it's going to happen. It happens in every sport. The WNBA is going to be no different of it happening in this sport, unfortunately. And that's just what you got to deal with. And we'll see. Chennedy Carter is eventually going to make it back to the W. If she doesn't, it's a gross negligence by the league to have a talent like Chennedy Carter. I don't care about what her personality problems. Guess what? There are other players with personality problems on the team. Sophie Cunningham has literally tried to hurt people with some of this stuff that she's done. She's still in the league, but because she smiles about it and those type of things and other things that I'm not going to mention in this podcast because then it'll make it go left, she's still in the W. Chennedy Carter's not the only WNBA player with personality concerns and issues. She's not. And to try to act like she is and to use that as a reason to blackball her from the league is fucking disgusting, to be honest with you. But again, I can't abstain the Chicago Sky from that because they are part of they are part of what has not had her in the league. You didn't even offer her a qualifying offer. Like, even if you did not want to keep her, you didn't tender a qualifying offer. That is part of the problem. So, yeah, the Sky are part of the problem, too. There's nobody that is abstaining from this as being part of the problem. The league itself is part of this problem. But, you know, it all has a way of working itself out eventually, and we'll see how it ends up shaking out. But everything in the dark has a habit of coming to the light eventually, and that's all I'll say on that. But thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys are following us at Chicago Sky Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoSkyCentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the number one spot for everything Chicago Sky related. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.